Investigation with Dr. T is something that actually was the brainchild of our dean, Dr. Durham. And now, coming up this next season, we're going to be doing it almost weekly, a weekly show on a Thursday night. So lots of really cool guests. It's not just police topics, it's not just corrections topics, but it's topics that are affecting us in kind of all areas. But one of the things that we hope to get across is raising awareness, educating about some of these really important topics like human trafficking, topics like disasters. We did a show, Confessions of a Serial Killer. So for this upcoming season, we've got a couple of really cool things. We're going to have a day in the life of a DEA agent. Another really cool one, which is really close to my heart, is going to be on September 11th. Because not only do we want to talk about 9/11 and the work of the NYPD, but I also want to really look at the mental health outcomes. We also have the human trafficking panel. We are going to bring back our Brevard Sheriff, Sheriff Wayne Ivey. It's always a pleasure to have him on. We're going to have Unfound again, Ed Denzel. He'll be coming back a few times, and that's going to be really exciting and interesting too. So that's great. When you hear yourself 3 times, it's like, shut up, seriously. So I really do apologize for that technical little speed bump. But anyway, we're okay. Tonight we are talking about recruitment and retention in policing. I'm joined by Assistant Chief James Polan and Sergeant Eric Coons. And first, we're going to be talking to the Chief James Polan. He comes to Davie as a seasoned law enforcement professional with over 39 years experience, including command positions at Fort Lauderdale Police Department, Broward Sheriff's Office, and Seminole Police Department. He's a graduate of the FBI National Academy, Senior Management Institute for Police at Boston University, Executive Leadership Program at, yes, Nova Southeastern University, and holds a bachelor's degree in professional studies from Barry University. He is the best guy you ever want to meet in your life. And I'm just so happy that he's taken the time out of his busy schedule to be with us. We're also joined tonight by Sergeant Eric Coons, who was born and raised in South Florida, grew up within Cooper City area, aspired to be a police officer because he comes from a long line of first responders and law enforcement officers in his own family. And on April 2016, he was hired by the Davie Police Department, where he was assigned to road patrol and a member of the mobile field force unit. Eric Coons joined the Davie Police Department's drone unit, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight, in 2021. He was promoted to sergeant in July 2022, and as a sergeant is part of Special Ops and a sergeant who supervises the Youth Services Division and the Unmanned Aerial Systems Drones Coordinator. And so it is a pleasure to have both of them on. I'm going to ask the chief to please come on if he doesn't mind. And I will highlight him and spotlight him. And Chief, thanks. You must have been so like, why do we hear her voice like 17 times going on in the background, right? I was like, how do you stop this crazy thing, Jane? I'm dating myself, but that's the Jetsons. But anyway, thank you, Chief, for being here with us. We're going to talk about recruitment and retention in policing in the United States and why it's a problem. Why are we having difficulty? And we know that there's this 2023 document I sent you earlier, and I really do want to talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind. Just kind of like the beginning of this. It's from the Bureau of Justice. Let me get it out. Recruitment and Retention for the Modern Law Enforcement Agency, and it's the Bureau of Justice Assistance and Office of Community Oriented Policing Services, and it just came out 2023. And one of the things that it talks about in here is COVID-19, the COVID-19 pandemic. In the wake of that, and a tightening labor market, heightened community frustration with the policing profession, and concerns about officer safety and well-being, law enforcement agencies across the country are facing historic crisis in recruiting and retaining qualified candidates. This is not something that's new to you, Chief. Um, and I brought you on because I'd like to hear your ideas, your what is your assessment? Why is this happening? I mean, is it COVID-19? Is it the labor market issue? Is it frustration? Is it all of the above? What's your thoughts on this, Chief?
So it's probably the single most daunting challenge that policing has seen in decades. We've never had this type of impact with recruitment or retention in the past. Fortunately, in Davie PD, we do have recruitment challenges, but retention's not a problem. It's a very good place to work. So when people come here, they stay here, which we're happy for that. That's not a concern here. But nationwide, that task. And there are challenges. And Doc, you mentioned about COVID-19, and that's one of the challenges. And it was almost like a tsunami of issues all happened at once. If we go back to the unfortunate death of George Floyd in 2020, and we saw at that point, the country started to be rocked by, when I rocked, I mean, shaken discussion about what's going on in our profession, with civil disturbances. And we saw those happening coast to coast. And officers were being injured. They weren't being supported within the court system. We saw that. We saw criminal prosecution of police officers occurring. There are issues with ambush situations across the country during this short period of time. And again, COVID is something probably what everybody can relate to, because everyone's concerned about their own safety and health. Well, everybody stayed home during COVID, but the police did not. And we were still going out, still doing what we had to do, because that's the oath we took, and we were willing to do that. But when you roll all that together, and the cry from the community reference to the issues going on across society, again, it was that tsunami that hit us. And a lot of the young kids, in the past, I know when I became an officer, well, 1981, you'd have 400 applications for one position. Well, today you have, one application for 400 positions across this country. A lot of folks may not know this, but there's 18,000 police departments in the United States. And that's a little over 700,000 of police officers, another 300,000 administrative assistants, as far as non-sworn personnel. So about 1 million people work for police departments across the country. And this had an impact with them, personally, and with the families as well. So I don't believe that we can pinpoint anything specifically. The International Chiefs of Police did a recent study on this, and they said 78% of the departments that responded said they had difficulty recruiting qualified candidates. 65% said they had too few candidates actually applying for the position. 75% said that recruiting is more difficult today than it was 5 years ago. Well, one of the reasons for that is because everyone used to come knock on our door looking for jobs, and now that's not happening. So we have to go find them. And obviously, you were a big part in helping us as the producer, director, writer of our recruitment video, the first one ever done by Davie Police Department. We are thrilled that that's there, and I'm very happy you're going to show that to your viewers tonight. That has helped us tremendously. We have seen our applications go up in the last 12 months that we haven't seen in the past. So those are good things. For part of this study, where it talked about agencies are not seeing qualified candidates, you've seen some places actually lower their standards, and that's something we should not want to do. We don't want to lower standards for a doctor. Especially if they're a surgeon, those standards shouldn't be lowered. We'd rather
Or a
work
pilot.
short. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
Right.
we didn't lower our standards at Davie, but we did modify our process some. For example, in the past, if you were a certified police officer working for another agency, you had to have 5 years of continuous service before you could come here without a college degree. We modified that and said if you have 2 years working as a police officer in another city, you can come here without your college degree, whether you're a law enforcement officer or a corrections officer. And of course, we always give the ultimate respect to those who served in the armed forces. They also, if they have 2 years, they can come here without that college degree. So little things like that has helped us a lot, along with the recruitment video and the establishment of our recruitment team. We tell our folks all the time that no matter who wears this uniform, um, you're a recruiter every day, and how you conduct yourself, how your attitude is, your behavior, your conduct, your level of communication with those around you in society and the community we serve may make a difference if a young gal or girl wants to put on a uniform and do this profession. So that's recruitment team has been a very positive thing for us. And they're trying to come up with many creative ways on how to solicit and make contact with potential police officers for the future.
So you know what? I think that this is really important when we talk about some of the solutions or recommendations, that report that I was talking about a minute ago. You know, officer wellness is an issue, right? Incentives is an issue. You know, salary, competitive salary is an issue. All of these things are issues that that I know you're doing already. So one of the things, like, we already identified that recruitment and retention is an issue and a problem, not just for one police department, but for all police departments, the policing profession in general. But Davie's not having that trouble. So I would like to hear, you know, and we've done this before, but I think it's worth saying again, you know, what are the things that you do in your department for your officers that makes them want to stay and attracts them to your department?
I think first of all, you know, if Chief Kinsey's the leader of our agency, and him and I share the same views and values when it relates to this, and if I talk about internally first before I talk about the actual items given to the employees, that we focus on number one, on people. People is the most expensive, most important commodity you can have, but it's well worth the price, because people could either make or break an agency. The Davie Police Department, which is my fourth agency I worked at, so I have you know, I'm able to compare it to other places. It's not perfect, but it is a really good place to work, and that's because of the people. The way we treat each other. You know, the simple leadership phrase is treat people the way you want to be treated. So Chief Kinsey and I believe in people. The second thing we really try to follow is policy. And you know what? Good people deserve good policy. And policy is not designed to you know, punish officers to do something wrong. It's designed to make sure that we look out for those who work within the police department and the community that we serve. So we focus on policy. We focus on training to make sure that our officers are trained to the best of their ability, not only in any type of tactical environment, but in legal awareness, in procedures and protocols. After that, we want to make sure that our level of supervision is well educated. They have the knowledge and experience to lead our troops, whether it's the rank of sergeant, lieutenant, captain, or major. Those are extremely important, and identifying and picking the right people for those positions of leadership. And the final part is discipline. And discipline is again, not punishment, looking to change behavior, to get that reward on our investment into the employee. So we focus on those 5 things internally. And as far as what the employees receive, I do believe that Davie provides a tremendous compensation package. And I could share, I'll read something word for word that's off of our website. And if anyone's listening that is interested, obviously, if you go to the Davie Police Department website, there's an employment section there. Just click on the employment, takes you to the full page. And also you can click and you can apply online to the different positions. But these are some great things right here. Up to 250 hours of paid time off leave a year. Well, you know, a lot of private businesses in other agencies, they don't receive that. Also, our folks work a 4-10. They work 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. That's 52 extra days off a year you get to spend with your family than working a traditional 540. They receive up to 125 hours of holiday pay per year, up to 60 hours of personal hours per year. If you're single, this is a big one. You get free medical coverage. You know, you can't beat free. If you're single, free medical coverage, and up to 50% for medical coverage for dependents. pension and longevity. You know, in today's society, a defined pension is actually it's somewhat rare to come by today. Usually it's a 401 investment program, maybe with you or your employer. But here we do have the pension. You'll contribute up to 9%. However, in 20 years, you can actually retire and receive 60% of your base pay, which is tremendous. And there's some other bells and whistles that go along with that pension as well. We have something which is called a DROP, Deferred Retirement Option Program. So let's just say 20 years, Sergeant Coons decides he's gonna go into the DROP program. Whatever his pension money was going to be, and I'll just say it's $5 a month, for example. He gets his pension money, which goes into a separate drop account, but he keeps working and still gets getting paid. So at the end of his, say, 5-year drop, he has 5 years of his pension, whatever it may be, into a separate account, but he's been working for those 5 years. So you're getting paid almost double to work that period of time. So it's deferred retirement option program, which is a tremendous benefit. And, you know, as far as the officer is concerned, the only thing you have to pay for is your socks, underwear, and t-shirt. Everything else is given to you. Your uniforms, your shoes, your guns, your equipment, everything is given to you. You get a take-home car. With that, obviously, you get fuel from the town of Davie. It goes in your take-home car. We provide you different services to wash your car. We pay for your dry cleaning of your uniforms. I mean, all those little things truly add up. This
Absolutely.
is the first time in my 43 years that anyone's ever paid for my dry cleaning. You know, I would average anywhere from $35 to $50 a week for my uniforms, but Davie pays for that. I could go on and on in reference to the benefits, but if anyone's interested, it's all on the website. And,
Yeah.
you know, if you were hired as a police trainee, going to the police academy, you're going to be making about $60,000 a year to go to school. And the academy is 22 weeks long. And once you successfully pass that, you go into an FTO program, which is another 16 weeks. So it takes a year, maybe a little bit longer to actually be out on your own, but you're being paid very well the entire time. And
Yeah.
I do believe a lot of those incentives that we have in play here that other agencies do have some of the same, some don't, make people stay here. They stay here, they come here, they remain here, they retire here. But I go back to my first point. It's all about people. And recruitment is probably one of the most important things any agency can do, knowing where to go to find the right people, recruit the right people, then having a very good background investigation to make sure that, you know what, this Jim Polan guy, we don't want him wearing our uniform. There's
Right.
something about his character, integrity that just does not fit we'd rather work short than bring this individual on. So background. And the final thing's that training program to make sure that the guy or gal has what we need for that one day when the bell rings. And there's a specific question that Chief Kinsey asks every person that comes into the building to be a police officer that we interview everyone that comes in. And he always has the same question. I need to know this answer. That when you respond to a active assailant call for service, whether it's a school, a bank, a shopping center, a store, where there's someone inside actively killing people, are you willing to go in to save lives? And it's a specific answer that we're looking for. And, you know, they're telling us yes. So we're, you know, it's extremely important to find that right person that wants to wear that uniform.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And, you know, one of the things that I know that report talks about, and by the way, I have a lot of PhD students that are watching on YouTube right now as we're live streaming this. And just so they know, because they're the, you know, the researchers
Yeah.
of the future, it's called Recruitment and Retention for the Modern Law Enforcement Agency, again, put out by the Bureau of Justice Assistance and Office of Community Oriented Policing Services. And it's a 2023 publication. So if you're interested in this topic of recruitment and retention and standards specifically, I know that I have one in particular, a student who's interested in that. We'll probably hear from her in the chat. But anyway, you might want to get your hands on this publication. But one of the things that they talk about is officer wellness, and we know that this is a big problem that many civilians don't really understand. that we go through seeing people at their worst. No one's calling the police to invite them to the birthday party kind of thing. It's just like you're seeing people at their worst constantly over and over again, and that can wear on you. And it's cumulative stress. And then you have something like a shooting, like Parkland, like a 9/11. And that's when, you have the real critical incident that's occurred, a traumatic event where post-traumatic stress and depression and anxiety. And hey, listen, we as a profession, we we're very, very close in terms of camaraderie and fellowship and, brother and sisterhood, right? So after the tour, we want to like just take the edge off.
Mhm.
And drinking is something that we do, right? I don't know why we're getting that thumbs up. I didn't do it. But anyway, I'm not trying to say that we should definitely be doing, self-medicating, but there's nothing wrong with social drinking. And as police officers, we we sort of do that. That's something that we do.
Mhm.
And it could be very, very dangerous for us. Self-medicating, depression, insomnia, like all of these things. Then we start having conflict at home. So how do we take care of our cops? How do we take care of our officers? We're giving our lives, right? We're giving our lives day in and day out. You can't stop the train of stress. You can't stop the train of critical events. You just now mentioned it. It's a requirement. We
Mhm.
run in, we don't run away. But what do we do to take care of our officers? And what do you do specifically with your police department?
Having a that healthy mind, body, and soul obviously extremely important. And we know, when I first started, Dr. T, I'm sure when you first started in New York, it was basically you didn't talk about those type of things because if you did, you appeared to be weak. And if they would send you to speak to maybe a doctor or some sort of therapy, you would never speak because you appeared that you were weak. But now we're realizing that what it's it's the tough ones that actually want to speak up now. We're seeing it. We're seeing a difference now. Here at Davie, we have a couple different things to go through. We have what's called a one pledge training, which has to do with officers' wellness. And we also have any type of critical incident debriefing that occurs. So if we have a situation where we had one recently involving a child, and the entire shift was brought in reference to a discussion to talk to what occurred, what happened, talk it out, almost like an after action to a critical incident, but it's about your wellness itself. We have a full staff of our chaplains that are there to discuss things with us, talk to us, lead us, guide us, provide us with prayer and encouragement. It's another alternative to have. But as far as the wellness, we have multiple things in place to make sure that our employees they have that healthy mind, body, and soul, of course.
Yes. Yeah. And debriefing,
Mhm.
right, is a big thing in our line of work. Critical incident stress debriefing after a big event, after a big traumatic event, like you just now said about the child involving a child. That's probably the worst that we could ever experience. Is that because we're family people, and I think that one of the things that civilians may not understand about us is that we're people, that we're human, and that when you recruit, you're not recruiting from another planet. You're recruiting from right here, this planet. And that means that human beings, they're not all are great. Some have faults, and we have faults too. But we are held to a high standard,
Yes.
and there's a lot of pressure in that. But it's also good. I mean, it's what we do. It's what we're about. How do you feel about that pressure that officers are under?
I think it's every individual probably handles that somewhat different. Um, Law enforcement, we're no better than any other profession, but we are held to a higher standard, and we should be. We're the only profession that has the legal right to take somebody's constitutional rights away and arrest them and haul them off to jail. Whether there's a cause or not, you're still going to jail. You'll get your day in court. You're still going to jail. So we should be held to a different standard. Um, how the officers behave. I think we've seen a difference now that, years ago, body worn cameras that came into police work, there are a lot of officers wanted nothing to do with those cameras. Well, today you're seeing a little difference. One, for example, my daughter's, she has 8.5 years now in law enforcement, and she tells me that she never wants to work without her camera. So that camera helps the officer, I believe, um, behave a little different in the atmosphere environment they're in, but also society does as well. What it's also provided to us is a level opportunity to uh, train, modify behavior, help the officer if they're going down the wrong path. For example, we have what's called a early intervention program, and the body worn camera helps us with this. We put it in play about a year ago. That we have what's called 7 thresholds. If during a 12-month period, if you have accumulation of 7, whether it's a use of force report, a vehicle crash, you have problems with sick time, you possibly maybe have a policy violation, any type of those within 12 months or specific ones, a flag goes off. That supervisor is then notified that Jim Polan has these 4 or 5 things that may be in the 12-month period. We need to check on him. Now, we're not checking on Jim Polan for any type of rule violation or policy violation. We're checking on him to make sure he's okay. And if he's not okay, we need to help him. That's part of that wellness program. So help him by either A, let's sit and talk. What can we do for you? Is it you personally? Is it the job? Is it your family? Is it stress? Is it financial, which we know has a big impact with stress? If for some reason they're not willing to talk, if we see that there's still an issue, then we can do a command referral and send them to EAP, Employee Assistance Program, to get help, because that wellness is so important. So again, we put EIP into play. Actually, I think it was last August. We finally put that into play, and I had probably at least a dozen flags come across my desk where we've sat down with the employee, and they're with the supervisors, and there's a good, healthy discussion, and where they end up after that's obviously here at the police department. But that was one of our main pushes for that wellness program.
That's great. That's great. So I know that we're right at that 7:30 mark, and I know that you're going to be leaving us, and we're going to be talking next to Sergeant Eric Kuhn, who is we introduced him earlier, and all the specialized units. It's something that's really attractive to a lot of young people, and they really want that stuff. Of course, patrol is the backbone, as we know, and it's so vital. And you always start in patrol. You always do that, and then you go either rise through the ranks through promotion, or if you're interested in specialized units like the dive team or mounted and any of that. We had the privilege, and really, it was a real privilege and a blessing. Thank you for asking us to help produce your recruitment video. And so I'm going to show it, and it's going to serve 2 purposes. One is that you could really see all the specialized units that Davie has to offer, the beauty of the Davie community too. I mean, it's a beautiful place to live. It's a beautiful place to work. And as you say, is a beautiful place to play. So, so Chief, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And I'm going to switch gears, and I'm going to show the recruitment video, give everybody a chance to see it, to see what you have to offer. And if they're interested, anybody who's watching, and don't forget that we're archiving this. So so even if people aren't watching it live, they get to watch it later on, and we get a lot of hits. So they get a chance to see the video. So we're going to show that now. And
thank you for the opportunity, Doc. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief, and we'll be in touch and talk more about our wonderful partnership and the things that we can do together.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know you have to go, so be safe, and we'll see you the next time. I do want to make sure that we're not going to have any technical issues.
town of Davie is a sprawling suburb located in the heart of Broward County with a population of 108,000 residents. Davie is different and unique from all other municipalities in South Florida, encompassing 37 miles of lush green open space with numerous parks, horse trails, businesses, colleges, and universities. Beautiful residential areas, entertainment venues, and a short drive to the beach. Come to our South Florida paradise and join the men and women of the Davie Police Department. Our officers are invested in our town so that their families have a great place to live. The Patrol Division is the backbone of the agency. You'll start your career here, and you'll be the first to respond to a call for help. While on patrol, you'll meet residents, business owners, and visitors to our town. Working for a police department is challenging. You will quickly learn that our residents value us, depend on us, and we're there when they need us. The Davie Police Department has 300 members comprised of sworn personnel and professional administrative staff. You'll find the specialty units you're looking for, including the Mounted Unit, Dive Team, Motor Unit, Criminal Investigations, SRT, Community Policing, and more. What was once a quiet farm town is now a unique, thriving, growing community. We're ideally located near the Fort Lauderdale-Hollywood International Airport and Port Everglades. You can easily catch a flight or cruise of your choice, or attend a local sports game with the many national professional South Florida sports teams in Davie's backyard. Also, don't forget about our great weather year-round. The Davie Police Department offers you a lifelong career to success. You have the training, technology, and equipment for modern-day policing. Our training prepares us for any scenario. It could be a resident call for service up to a critical incident response. So why choose Davie Police Department for your law enforcement career? Did you know you can retire after 20 years of service? Did you know you get a take-home car? Did you know that you will receive a $5,000 state of Florida incentive pay for becoming a police officer and an additional $2,500 sign-on bonus from the town of Davie? These are just a few of the many reasons to join Davie Police Department. If you have the heart, determination, and commitment to help others, make the decision to be a public servant and choose Davie PD. Contact us and we'll help you take the next step to make the Davie Police Department your home. Davie is the town where you can live, work, and play. Come join the Davie Police Department and be part of something great.
So I'm going to leave it up there for a second so that you have a chance to scan the code. And if you're interested in joining the Davie Police Department, now's your chance. Isn't that a great video? Oh my gosh, I love it. And Layla Horton was a big part of that. Shannon Hetzel, Joey Jasinski, all undergrad criminal justice majors who, well, Joey, let me tell the truth. Joey was an accounting major, but he still could be a great FBI agent because the FBI loves accountants. But anyway, all of our undergrads worked very hard as part of the production team behind the making of this video. We are so proud of it, and we just love this partnership with the Davie Police Department. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring on Sergeant Eric Kuhn, who I introduced earlier. And I'm going
Hey, Doc, how are you?
Hey, I'm going to spotlight you, and now we're spotlighted together. And so, did you want to add anything about, the chief was so articulate and wonderful about talking about the issues that are associated with recruitment and retention, but is there anything from your perspective, from your view, that you want to talk about Davie Police and why recruitment and retention is not an issue for your department?
So, just like the chief, I came from another agency myself. I initially started in North Miami Police Department back in 2012. I've been in law enforcement now a little over 11 years. One of the things I could say about it is with law enforcement, it definitely has its challenges. Unfortunately, now in today's daylight, there has been different views on law enforcement on how, there's always, the bad side of things, and how the news portrays us and all that different types of realms. So, like I said, it definitely has its challenges. One of the things I like personally about our police department is, like you saw from the recruitment video, there's so many different realms of our agency and so many different specialized units and things that officers can do. That is one of the things and reasons why it brought me here.
So, Sergeant, can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the specialized units? Like
So one of the specialized
what's
units
that
that
process?
the process. So there is an interview process, and it's just like getting hired itself. Each officer that comes on to a police department initially starts off in the road patrol division. And the nice part is with the road patrol division, it gives you a wide spectrum on different things and different situations that you can handle. And the nice part is you handle, you handle different investigations, as far as crimes of either fraud, burglary, homicide. You get exposed to all these different types of crimes. And with any type of career, just like doctors or anything like that, you have your different areas that you want to specialize in, whether it's the detective bureau, whether it's canine for apprehension. So starting off within a road patrol, like I said, you get exposed to all these different realms. One of the things for me that I like that stood out when I initially started my career was the mobile field force unit, which has to do with riot, basically, long story short, riot control. Within social media, unfortunately, in these past couple of years, we've had riots, and where you see officers lined up in the different streets and whatnot, and controlling these different riots to try and prevent, you know, property damage and all these different, areas. So that's what I like about it.
Right. You don't have a lot of that in Davie, though, right? I mean,
No,
there's not a lot of
no,
civil
thank
unrest.
God. Yeah,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
thank goodness we don't.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, I think that that's also something to be said, and probably a topic for another show. But when you have a great relationship with your community, and your police department does, so there's like a lot of respect, there's a lot of support, and there's not a lot of some of the same things that you might see us in other places, even within our own state of Florida. Like maybe Miami might be very different than Davie, geographically, as well as just like kind of the makeup, right? The demographics. So we're blessed. We're blessed to be in Davie and to have such a supportive, um, not only town, but also the people, and also the people who are in charge of the town, right? I mean, there's a really great partnership there, isn't there?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Like I said, coming from North Miami and then transitioning to Davie, it was almost, didn't want to say a night and day difference, but you definitely noticed it. Um, Working down in, Miami-Dade County, you had it to where you had citizens that didn't respect you and didn't care what you did. You would show up on calls, and even though you're trying to help them, they would, turn around and start blaming you for, either making an arrest or trying to help them out, and they don't appreciate the way you're trying to do it. To where with Davie, it's totally different. You're walking in the the tower shops area on foot patrol, and you constantly have people that are thanking you for your service. I couldn't tell you how many times, I'd be sitting in a restaurant eating, and somebody would say, thank you for what I do, or cover my bill without even me asking, and completely anonymous, and just it's so appreciative. And when we have these different events that Davie holds, like the police expo, touch a truck, you get all these kids and parents and families that come out here, and they take a great interest in what we do. And the kids love to interact and sit in the cop cars and see the different motorcycles and the lights. And with that, you get a lot of questions that are asked, and mostly it's it's on what we do, within the community, how we build our relationships with people. And that's one of the things that we do. And like I said, with the Davie Police Expo that we held on to every year, it's amazing. And you got all these different entities that come out. One year, a few years actually, we've even had the Coast Guard come out and join our police expo. And so it's not just the police department, the fire department, it's all these different, military branches, our police department, and it's just a great exposure to the community.
When do you usually have that expo?
So it usually is held beginning of February. So this year, I think it was the first week of February. It's usually held, and it's right in front of our police department, and it's an amazing time.
Yeah. Well, we had this like unique opportunity in filming all the different specialized units, to really get to know the cops, the people, and all of the really cool stuff that you do. And one of the cool things that you do is drone work. Can you talk about this?
Right. Oh, absolutely. So we initially started our drone unit from one of our officers by the name of, he's retired now, Officer John Strunk. And it started off with him as a hobby for him. He used to fly drones for a hobby. And one of the things he thought of, and another detective by the name of Johnny Bennett, who's also retired with us, they kind of put their minds together because they use drones as, like I said, as hobby enthusiasts. And they're like, this would be a great benefit to help us and different types of areas of law enforcement, not only capturing scenes of crimes from an aerial perspective, but also an immediate concern to where you have a suspect that's fleeing on foot. So there's a lot of different benefits to it. And our team now consists of 11 different operators, with me being the initial coordinator for it. And it's great.
Can you tell us a little bit about, I mean, again, making the film, I think I was saying this before the show started, that our cinematographer for the recruitment video used a lot of drone work. And, there was just a lot of drone footage that is in that video. And he had some difficulty at certain times, depending on where we were filming, for him to even like get it in the air because it was locked. And can you explain that? Because I don't know if people understand, the intricacies of the drone operation and how it's different for law enforcement.
Sure. So the problem that he probably had was he probably had a drone that was locked. And most manufacturers that sell drones have the drones locked to where there's certain different areas of the state to where you can't fly and operate a drone. For instance, Davie has Fort Lauderdale International Airport that's right next to, that's basically in the runway path of Davie. So with that being said, we have different flight classes throughout Davie that we need to be concerned of. And with those different flight classes, we can only go up a certain elevation. So as a plane comes in, if it's coming across Davie's jurisdiction, well, as a plane comes in from a certain elevation, as it goes down to land on the runway, our drone can only go up so high. So our maximum altitude for a drone is 400 feet. And as the plane goes closer to Fort Lauderdale's airport, which is the east side of us, our elevation is, it drops tremendously to where we can only go up to 100 feet in the air. And also in different areas of the city, we're completely cut off to where we can't fly because of the dangers of the of planes coming in. So all of our operators are Part 107 certified from the FAA. It's a pretty difficult test that they have to go through, and in order to pass the test, we have to know about aeronautical maps. We have to understand the different elevations, the different flight classes, the different classes of airspace. So it's a pretty difficult test that we have to understand in order to be able to operate. And not only with that, there's different legalities on when we're actually allowed to operate for certain crimes. We can't just put a drone in the air and start looking for somebody just because we want to. So
Right.
Florida State Statute 93450 basically draws out the rules and regulations on when we can operate.
So you don't just use it for just patrol purposes, let's say, just to kind of like patrol an area, make sure everything's okay. You're not doing it for that reason. You're doing it because you're seeking out a suspect. Can you explain like what's the protocol?
Sure. So I'll go through the 93450 just so everyone understands. So one of the things is a high-risk terrorist attack on a specific individual or organization. So for instance, we had Fort Lauderdale International Airport's shooting a few years back. When that happened, that would be considered a terrorist attack on the initial airport at the time. So what would happen is the runway itself and what we would do is contact Fort Lauderdale's tower, let them know what's going on. And since there's initial attack at the airport, we would stop the air traffic coming in and direct them to Miami International or whatnot. And then we could get our own aerial perspective with the drones to be able to do that. Another thing is for us to be able to operate with drones and conduct a search is we need a search warrant on different residences or anything like that. In order for us to even do surveillance, we need a warrant signed by a judge. We can't just put a drone up in the air and see what somebody's doing in their backyard just because we want to. That's a huge violation, and that essentially comes back on us and being able to, wrongfully conducting surveillance.
I'm really glad you bring that up because I think that there's some controversy around drone usage by law enforcement. And of course, law enforcement, we're agents of government. I say we, it's been a long time, but you can never take it out of me. So I'm always going to have that blue blood in me. It's so funny because not only do we bleed blue because we're Nova Southeastern University, but I would bleed blue because of my police background. But anyway, there's this like toss up, right, between privacy issues and good policing. What do you get?
Right.
What do you like? What kind of like feedback do you get? And is Davie, the community of Davie, a little different in terms of support?
So when it comes to the drone unit, like I said, we expose it when it comes to the police expo. We put all our equipment out. Our UAS unit contains of 8 drones altogether, 6 of which are be able to utilize outdoors, and one of which we also use on our SWAT team. It's more of a specialized indoor drone. So when we have our expo and using it on, crime scenes or whatnot, of course, you have the public that sees what we're doing. They're kind of curious because drones are very new within the law enforcement realm. And we get a lot of positive feedback, actually. And it's a great benefit to us, not only for law enforcement safety to get an aerial perspective on a crime scene or an actual active crime scene. And when we have our equipment out for like the expo, you get people that are come in that are curious, like, hey, what is this? Not everybody realizes what a drone is. Hey, what's this new equipment that you guys have? How does it work? What's the benefits of it? And we explain that to them. And once they realize, not only is it a public safety, a benefit to them, but also a safety to law enforcement, they're very all for it.
Yeah. Great. I think again, it depends on the community that we're talking about. So, and when we say police in the community, wow, that's sort of loaded because there's so many there's various communities and sub-communities within communities. So it really is whether or not you're going to gain the support from the people you serve, I think depends upon how you serve them. And I know that Davie Police serves them well. Is there anything else that you want to say, Sergeant Kuhn, before we go to our students who are going to come on and ask a couple of questions?
No, like I said, I appreciate you having us on. Like I said, Davie, coming from North Miami and transitioning over to the Davie Police Department, the transition's been amazing. Just like Chief Polan said, it the the staff that we have and the officers that we have that work on our agency, it's really family oriented. It's a great place to work. Everybody supports each other in difficult times and in the great times. And I'm just appreciative to work there and have the opportunity. And like I said, law enforcement now is it's very challenging. Being in law enforcement for 11 years is I've seen the great sides of police work to where everybody loves us, and I've seen it to where we're not liked at all. And
Right.
you get the different different perspectives of from the citizens, and I'm just appreciative that being within Davie, it's been more on the positive side.
Yeah. One thing that was not mentioned were the horses, the ambassadors. Oh my God, the four-legged
Everybody loves the horses.
ambassadors. Everybody loves them. And it's not just the horses are awesome. I know some of them. Oki, for one, is like my favorite. I still have
Yep.
him. Me and him are kind of like my cover photo on my social media. I love him so much. But also the officers that ride them are awesome as well. And so we've had so much fun all of this time working with the recruitment video, and also our undergrads get a chance to do the Citizens Academy, which you guys call the Community Police Academy. And we're doing that again in the fall, and we're really blessed to be able to have that partnership with you too, and let our students, our undergrads in CJ, really see what I would consider to be a premier police department. So you're very, very lucky that you work for them. And thank you again for being here tonight. I'm going to bring Justin and Layla back on if they can share their cameras with us, and then I'll spotlight them because I know Justin, who is interested in law enforcement, he's graduating senior. He is going to be trying out again for the DEA, and so he's a law enforcement guy, and I know he has a couple of questions. So go ahead, Justin, take it away.
All right. So I just wanted to say I do like how Davie has a lot of special operations. And I was actually interested in your diving. Like when I was in the Community Police Academy, I never found out about diving. And after I found out, I actually took a class at Nova, and now I'm getting certified in diving next week. So I just think like that's something that's pretty cool that you guys have. And I just like all the other special operations you have as well. I just wanted to like add that. I think you
Yeah.
guys are pretty cool as an agency.
Yes.
So the
Thank you,
dive team,
Justin.
yes. The dive team is a very interesting unit. It's definitely challenging, and just like I said, with any of our specialized units, you got to come in and you got to be certified as a diver. That's one of the things that we look forward to. Not only that, but we actually send, if you do go make it through the interview process, you go to dive school. And from not me personally not being on the dive team, but just from other officers being on there and hearing what they got to go through in order to go through the dive school, it's challenging. At one point, I know you're underwater. They put a dark mask over your face to where you can't see anything in front of you, and they take off your equipment, and you got to be able to hold your breath long enough to be able to regain and put the equipment back on you all underwater, and be able to find the scuba to put it back in your mouth to be able to breathe. And that's one of the things that you have to do in order to pass. So it's definitely a challenging unit.
So they make believe that they're diving in New York.
Yeah,
'Cause
almost.
that's what it's like to dive in New
I
York.
never personally been there, but
Yeah, diving in New York is
yeah, I
like
never
this
personally been there.
visibility
But like I said,
right there.
It's true. I did
Yeah,
dive in a lake and the
well,
visibility is really low. So
yeah,
Well, with
yeah,
our canals that are within Davie, a lot of our divers, all even though we're surrounded by the ocean, Davie's jurisdiction doesn't back up to any of the saltwater waterways. So we have all of the fresh water that comes in from the Everglades, and that water is extremely murky. So
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why they do that. And a lot of the waterways around South Florida are the same way, which
Yeah.
is why they do that particular test, because God forbid something happens underwater to where you lose your equipment, or something happens and you get stuck. They want you to be able to maintain your calmness and not run out of breath, so you could try to fix what's going on before you can get back to the surface.
Yeah. Wow. Layla, do you have anything you want to add?
I
Because
do.
you're also a graduate of Community Police Academy, the Davie CPA. So
Yes,
tell
I
us.
got to meet Sergeant Eric running the classes. I think for me, just hearing about the drones are pretty cool, because my granddad, he's worked for Miami Beach Police, and he does the drones sometimes, so he tells me how it is and how it's like being on patrol. But I think one of my questions for you would be, other than like the limitations on like height and everything, what is one of the biggest obstacles that comes with flying a drone when you're looking for like a suspect?
So the obstacles on locating a subject, is that what you mean?
Yes, like when it comes to like if you're pursuing or finding, yeah, like locating.
So the challenges that we have are, it depends when it is. So at night, we do have the infrared. Um, our infrared is very good, but it picks up body heat. So with that, depending on where we are and where the subject's located, if it's in say a busy shopping area or something like that, it's going to pick up everybody's body heat. So trying to get that specific person is going to be a little bit difficult in busy traffic areas, people on foot. Now somebody that flees in the middle of the night, that goes down, hides in somebody's backyard or somebody's residence to where there's not a lot of people or something like that, it makes it a lot easier for us, because you're picking up just that one person's particular body heat, in comparison to the daytime. In the daytime, our drones, our cameras are amazing. The zoom capabilities, we're able to read a license plate up to 700 feet away. So with that, the zoom capabilities and being able to zoom in on somebody and see their description, there's no question about it that that's who it is during the daytime. It's at night is when it gets a little bit more difficult.
Okay.
Great. Well,
you.
thank you. And thank you, Sergeant Kuhn, so much. Last word from you before I go to my bragging that I want to do. I want to brag about these two specifically. But I'm going to give you the last word as far as recruitment and retention. Anything you want to say as a last word?
Just know that coming into law enforcement, there's so many benefits, but at the same time too, there is challenges. For me, for instance, coming onto the police department, the challenges of handling different calls, seeing different situations. But at the same time too, you have your officers that are there that are more senior, and they're teaching you, and you're learning, and you're trying to build on your career. It's something that, like I said, it's a very family oriented type of environment, especially within the Davie Police Department's community. Just know that anybody coming on, before you decide to put in that application, make sure the job's for you. Do a ride along with police departments. Come to our Police Smart. Do a ride along. Do the Civilian Police Academy. See everything that has to entail before you do it. Speak with many police officers. Like I said, this job, this career is very challenging. So before you decide to make that leap, also speak with your family. For me, I got a small little daughter. And within police work, like the chief said, we had that incident the other day where it involves a small child, and it does take that mental roll on you, because now you're coming home from seeing these different scenes, and it does affect your family life, and you got to be able to have a family to where you're coming home from a bad day at work that's going to support you and understand what you do and see the different challenges.
Right. And many times I know for myself, as a first responder at Ground Zero for a year and a half, I couldn't come home and really talk about it too much, because you don't want to scare people, and the people that you love, and you don't want to really get into too much detail. But ventilating and getting validation is very important, and you want to tell your family they're the closest to you, right? But you really can't tell them at the same time. So that's where it really becomes difficult, and you have to really know how to engage self-care strategies. But you have a department that really supports you, and so you're halfway there. Thank you, Sergeant, for being with us. I really appreciate you, and be safe out there. And we'll see you soon on campus and on your campus.
Thank you so much, Doc. I appreciate it for having us on.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to ask Justin to please come on, and Layla for a minute. I know they're going to cringe because I'm going to just brag, but it's okay. If I don't brag about them, who else is going to brag about them, right? So here we are. So let me just tell all of the viewers, there's a couple of things. We have one more show, and that's next week, and we're actually spotlighting an alum in the PhD program. We have a PhD in criminal justice, and his name is Dr. Dennis Hippert, and he's with the Southern Institute. It's the police leadership, and we're going to talk about effective police leaders and executive decision making in policing. So it's going to be a really cool show next week. Also, shameless plug, or I'm going to ask you, if you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so. Right? I really want to break 1,000. That's what I want. I want 1,000 subscribers, and then even more next year. But so if you haven't done that yet, my PhD students who are watching, please make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. But we do have one more show for the season, and that's next Thursday. And then we're behind the scenes over the summer, gathering new guests, maybe bringing on some old guests that were a big hit. And so we have a lot of things in the hopper, right, that we'll be planning. But so now here's the bragging part. Drum roll. Okay, so Justin Campbell is graduating May 1st, and he is not only in Alpha Phi Sigma, which is the National Criminal Justice Honor Society. He was also, him and as well as Layla were sent to Chicago to the Academy of Criminal Justice Sciences conference on a scholarship from the Broward County Police Chiefs Association. And on April 26th, they're both going to be presenting for the Wilton Manors Police Department command staff, because Chief Gary Blocker was responsible for getting us that money. And so we have a partnership now with Wilton Manors Police Department, and it's just really wonderful that we have we're making these partnerships and collaborating with police departments locally. So Justin is going to be graduating. We're very sad, but we're very proud of him. So proud of him for all the work that he's done here with us in investigation with Dr. T, as well as everything he's done for the Fischler College of Education School of Criminal Justice. So thank you, Justin. Big congratulations. Many blessings on your future. I know that you're going for the DEA, and we pray that you get that, and that's the job for you. And now let's talk about Layla. Let's talk about Layla Horton for a minute, because I don't want to say this too much, but first of all, she's got an internship currently with the Davie Police Department, social media expert that she is. She's working alongside all of the people at Davie for their social media. And she also has an internship possibility in Washington, D.C. Okay, that's going to be a paid internship, all expenses paid, working for the government, working for the Biden administration. And so we pray that also works out as well for her. And she's also president-elect of Alpha Phi Sigma. So going into next semester in September, she's going to be not only known as Madam President for Alpha Phi Sigma, but also Madam President for the Stage for Change. And speaking of Stage for Change, Layla and Justin, tell us, how did Stage for Change sweep the awards?
We did amazing. We got a Stewie and we won a Goldfin.
Look at that Stewie right there. Oh my God. And we got a Goldfin too. And we got a Goldfin for the Political and Social Action Organization of the Year, which, I mean, if there's any category, that one means the most, I think. And I'm so proud of them in so many ways. We just had a crime scene, big forensic and crime scene immersive experience at the University Center. That was a big success. We collaborated with Miami-Dade College on that. And again, I couldn't be doing the work I'm doing without the support of these two, especially these two. So I thank you, and we'll see you next week again for our final show. I want to say thank you to Dr. Durham. I want to say thank you to Dr. Kushner and Dr. Castro for all of their amazing support that they give us throughout the year, and for all of our programming. And I want to thank my PhD students also for showing up and attending. I did put something in the chat where I said I'm going to be uploading into the Canvas course the publication that I was referring to. So thank you all. Have a wonderful night. If you're interested in police work, join the Davie Police. It's a great place to live.